Alright, that's enough of that. What's up, everybody? It's the Sasha Daygame Podcast, and we're back again. How's everybody doing in the studio? Hey! It's pretty much just me and one dude. That's what's awkward. There's no clapping. It's just me. Wait a minute. Chris is going to be doing the effects. So, Chris, put in some clapping right now. Fantastic. So, my guest today it's very exciting. So much has happened since the last one. It's been absolutely fucking nuts. Nuts! It's a nut house. But in the studio is the one and only from the United States of America. Don't hate him for it. Detail! Woo! That's right. And holy shit, a lot of you guys may not know who he is or what's going on, but if you're on the YouTube channel, you have seen a little clip of him from the Direct Dating Summit in Las Vegas. And super interesting story about how I met him. We're going to get into that. How you feeling right now?
I'm feeling good. I am a little bit tired, but I'm still feeling good. I'm feeling great. From the boot camp this past weekend, it makes me feel so good to see those guys improving and accelerating. It's an awesome extrinsic benefit. It's phenomenal.
That was a very fucking intense weekend, but we'll get to that later. But yeah, when you showed up, you were beat. You slept for like 6 hours or some shit or less. You showed up like a zombie. You were like,
right. I think I slept 4 hours the night before the flight, and then on the flight, maybe I got 5 hours of sleep, possibly. So
you had to go straight into fucking running around
yeah.
for 2 days, which is fucking brutal. But all right, so look, let's get to the meat of it, because everyone's like, who is this guy? What's he doing on the podcast? So when I was in the U.S., basically, I actually, well, it goes back further than that, but over a year ago, when I was in Ukraine, I met a guy called, we can say his first name, can't we? A guy called Joe.
Yeah.
Who's a buddy of mine. Really cool dude, just fucking has his shit together, been in the community for a while. But like a good dude, one of the non-douchebags. And then we hit it off, we became buddies, we hung out a bit in Ukraine and shit. And eventually he's like, yeah, dude, you gotta come to you gotta come to my city when you're in the US. And so I popped over to see him. And I ran into, I did a little talk and stuff for the layer, and Detail was there. We just started chatting, and we fucking totally hit it off. And Detail just has this fucking insane knowledge of females, as he likes to call them, and just really what the fuck they're all about. And it's kind of uncanny. So we actually stayed up till like, I don't know, it was ridiculous, like 5 o'clock in the morning or some shit, just talking about all this shit. And I already, this is like a year ago, I already knew a lot of shit. But he just blew my mind with all his knowledge about women and what's really going on. Long story short, he was he was like going to go and maybe get a job or do some shit, because he'd been studying women for years and years and years and not really working. He was just mastering understanding women. And I was like, no, dude, you're not going to go get some shitty ass boring fucking job. You're going to come on board and you're going to help teach dudes. And that's what's happening. So. Yeah, so before we get into our adventures and fucking, all our U.S. traveling and shit that we did, let's tell the guys a little bit about your fucking, because your story is insane. Like, it's brutal. It's brutal and soul-crushing and insane all at once. So I'm just going to hand it over to you, and you can tell the guys a little bit about your fucking brutal background, where you came from.
Where should I start? Like, school, why I decided to stop working and then do this whole thing?
Yeah. But let's do the non-4 hour version.
The non-4 hour version? That's what I'm saying. Should we do
Detail can talk like a mother. That's why it's named Detail. Sure. Do the hour and a half version.
No, I mean like the half version rather than the full version.
Yeah,
like a semi-edit. Okay, so,
sure.
Okay. So let's go back just maybe 8 years or so, or should we go back like just maybe 10 as I'm finishing up school? I'll say it anyways. Okay, so I did about 6.5 years of college. Started out pre-med. Decided it wasn't for me, after a couple years of chemistry, physics, and all that fun stuff. Did some concentrations in economics, psychology, communications, marketing, and so forth. And then I finished in finance. I was raised, you got to make money, be successful financially, and that will make you happy and all that fun stuff. And at the same time, while I was going through school, I was in a monogamous relationship with a wonderful person, and we were together for a total of 10 years, from the age of 17 to 27. But basically, so I finished finance, started working, started making a bunch of money, had all this free time, because through college all I did was work, school, work, school. But then I started having all this free time and was making so much money. I was like, there's no way I'm ever going to be able to consume all this money. The girl that I was seeing, she was making a lot of money. We had the whole house, picket fence, white picket fence, dog, or actually she had it. She finished school before I did. And it was just all laid out for me. And, you know, on Fridays, we'd maybe go to dinner with some friends, some other couples. Saturday, maybe work around the house or whatever. Sunday, you know, Home Depot, Bed Bath & Beyond, and then straight back to work Monday through Friday. And I was just, you know, I saw my whole life laid out for me, and I couldn't handle it. It just wasn't for me. So I asked my mom, I said, what's the point of all this money? And I got some pretty bad advice. She said, well, basically, it's you're making it so you can give it to me. And I was like, are you serious? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, that's your advice. I'm making this money so I can give it to you. Okay. And then I called some buddies up in Seattle, a commercial real estate buddy, and I was like, you know, hey buddy, hey Kyle, what's the point of all this money? And he's like, so you can party. And I was like, I mean, I love going out with him and so forth, but then I thought to myself, wait a minute, work Monday through Friday, party on the weekends, work Monday through Friday, party on the weekends, do that for the next 10 to 20 years. And I was like, that's not for me either. So basically I ended the relationship with her. I mean, she's now happily married and all that fun stuff, has a kid and all that stuff. So, and then I took the money that I made over the 9 months of working, which is a pretty large sum, and I traveled for the next 2 years all throughout the U.S. And I worked on a book called How to Find Sunshine Where It Rains. Where I'm from, it's often cloudy. It rains a lot, or it's at least cloudy 9 months out of the year. And people are always saying, oh, I need to move somewhere it's sunny and get out of this rain. So I thought to myself, I think that's a great conversational piece. When I'm traveling, I'm going to ask people, how do you find sunshine where it rains? So I did that for the next 2 years, and what I discovered is a lot of the men that I talked to, no matter how old they got, no matter, even though their skin may age and they may start to atrophy a little bit, even if they were 70 years old, they still had the desire to have sex with 20-year-old females. They still had that desire to have sex. So I was like, shit, I guess for the rest of my life I'm gonna always have this sex drive. And so I decided, and plus I had all these fantasies that I hadn't fulfilled. I had all these, I wanted to be with threesomes, I wanted to be with the tall girl, the blonde tall girl, big boobs, small boobs, all different shapes and sizes, different ethnicities. So I started approaching girls, and I was just awful. I would talk about, what do you do for work, and what do you do at work? What's your company's market share? What sector within the industry? And I would just talk on and on and on about work, and it was just boring. It was killing the chicks. And I had a couple buddies who were naturals, and they said to me, "Dude, you're so awful. I mean, basically things are great until you open your mouth." So their advice was that I just keep my mouth shut and just smile. And then I tried that for a while, but that got awkward as well with the chicks because I didn't talk. So I decided, okay, I need to figure out what to do. I need to understand these beautiful, attractive women. So what I did was I started befriending very attractive, beautiful women from all different socioeconomic backgrounds, different ethnicities, and I started just in the beginning, anything that they needed. If they needed me to do an errand for them, if they needed me to pick them up, whatever, I did anything that they needed. And what happened is I knew over time that they would start to depend on me, and the relationship would become like a brother-sister relationship. So that when I went to ask them a question about females or other girls, they wouldn't just give me a socially acceptable answer. I knew that they would give me a real deep down answer, a non-judgmental answer. So that what I did was, when I would spend time with these girls, I would let them know, no matter what they said, no matter what they did, that it was acceptable to me, that they had the right to do whatever they wanted as long as they were happy, and that I wasn't going to judge them. They can do whatever they want. They can say whatever they want. And so over time, they would test me out. They would say little things that were kind of socially unacceptable, and I wouldn't judge them. I wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, how can you say that? I would just be like, that's cool. You have the right to feel that way. And then as time went on, they started just releasing more and more just deep down secrets, and I just wanted to know the stuff where, so I could hook up with other hot chicks. I didn't want to know some really gnarly stuff that I would find out. But then, of course, as I'd find out these things, I then field tested, what I was learning from them. I've been with at least, 50 females that had boyfriends, and at least, 10 to 15 that were married, just in those experimental days. So yeah, while I was befriending these girls, at the same time, I was also going out at night and experimenting and trying out different things. So I've been slapped, I've been punched, I've been kicked, I've been spit on, I've had heels put in my foot, I've had girls try to beat me up, or even team up and try to beat me up because I would just say the most awful things, or I'd see something on a movie, or I'd hear something, and basically I didn't know material existed. I didn't know there were boot camps, I didn't know there were books. Even though I had this massive academic background, I just didn't realize that there was other things out there that could help me. So I basically experimented for 5 years, and then about 5 years into it, a buddy of mine came up to me. He was like, dude, you got to read this book. It's totally you. And then I read that book, and I was like, holy shit, that's when I realized that there's material out there, and that there was actually communities out there, and groups of guys and so forth. And so, yeah, it was about 3.5 years ago or so. That's when I first decided to check out our local lair. And actually, my intent when I first went to that first meeting, because I was so competitive at that time, was actually just because I read this book and I thought, oh my gosh, there's these guys out there that are just awesome. Okay, well, when I'm out and about, I want to be able to identify these guys, and so I can handle them, I can take them down. I know how, I'll understand who they are, where they're coming from. So I go to this first meeting, and I get there expecting this, amazing group. But the truth is, a lot of those guys in there were where I was 5 years previous. Some of them did have great communication skills, but most of them were just right where I was in the very beginning, and I was like, holy shit. So I went out with a couple of them, but they were doing things that I was like, I almost wanted to stop them. But again, I took that point of view with the females where I didn't want to interrupt them. I didn't want to show them what my skill level was. I was just playing the kind of the dumb, nice guy who was observing. And then after spending time with them, I was just like, I guess there's nothing really I can learn. But, some of them can talk, but there's so many things that they're missing. So about 4 months later, we had that local lair or whatever had a online dating speaker. So I went to that because I wanted to check it out. I had never done online dating. I wanted to listen to that. And that's when I actually met Joe. And Joe was very persistent. He wanted my phone number. I was like, okay, let's exchange info. But there's so many other guys here. You should get their numbers and so forth. But I guess, I think it was maybe a year later, I asked him, why were you so persistent towards me and getting my information? He was like, basically, it's because you had a look on your face that no one else had in the room, and he knew that I had some valuable, information. I decided to help. At first, I didn't want to help Joe because I was in that competitive mode, but then I realized, wait a minute, in the U.S. alone, there are about 60 million women between the age of 19 and 35. So I can't fuck them all. But I was at first like, why should I share all of this knowledge, all of this pain and suffering that I went through to get all this information? Why should I share it with this guy? And then I thought also to myself, I've been trying to help my friends over the years. I've been trying to help coworkers over the years, and it doesn't really seem to help them. So why not just give this guy a little bit of, give him a little bit of help and see what happens? And so, okay, so basically we went out, and he had, even though he had done other boot camps, and we weren't doing a boot camp, we were just hanging out, but he had met Mystery, he had met some other guys, he had done these other boot camps, he had spent over 1,000 hours of studying stuff. And how I would describe him, he was awesome, he was phenomenal all the way up to maybe the 7th inning. If he was a starting pitcher, he could start off first inning, starting pitcher, and then but all the way up to the 7th inning. And then the 8th and 9th inning, he was just almost there. He just needed a little bit of stuff. And so we went out, and over the next 3 or 4 times we went out, he full closed on the 3rd or 4th time, And then over the next 7 days, he full closed 2 more chicks. One was a D2 and another one was the same night. And I was blown away. I could not believe someone could calibrate themselves so freaking fast. Because, you know, we'd go out that first night, then I talked to him about it. You know, I found out his story, and then the second night we went out, and then I talked about him. We talked about it the next day. He calibrated so fast, I was just blown away. I couldn't believe it. And then a few years later, a couple years later, I was talking to a guy, you know, I was like, I couldn't believe how, you know, these guys will just change so fast, some of them. And what this guy told me, Kevin actually, he's like, the reason why he calibrated so fast is because his mind was ready for the information. His mind was like a sponge and waiting for it, whereas my friends and coworkers, they didn't want the information, or they thought I was just kind of one of the crazy guys who just talks about chicks all the time. So they weren't really taking what I was saying seriously. Whereas Joe, you know, and some of the other guys that I've helped and so forth, or a lot of the other guys I've helped, have taken it seriously, and they've made massive changes. Like another guy, he told me, yeah, before I met you, the previous 12 months, I had only hooked up with 4 chicks. After spending a little bit of time with you in Portland, I full closed 20 chicks the following year, because I would just refer back to things that you had told me as I was traveling, and I was just using that stuff. And I've had so many guys say, yeah, I asked myself, what would Uncle Detail do in this situation? And yeah, so that was a little bit of a random here and there. I try to keep it organized. I apologize. I'm not a professional speaker. This is my first podcast. I didn't write out what I was going to talk about, but I hope you guys got some little bit of information.
That's very fucking juicy. But there was a moment there where, as soon as you said that the girls are, you know, they told you some of the shit that you didn't really want to hear, right away in my head I was like, everybody wants to hear that stuff, right? So
yeah.
Like, you want to share some of the juicy bits? What about those moments where the chick said some shit and your mind just went, holy shit? Okay. Because that's what I had for fucking 4 hours when I spoke to you, and you were sharing the info with me. I couldn't believe it. Yeah,
and I could go on and on about this stuff, but one really big one was it was kind of late at night, and I was sitting next to this girl, you know, very close with her. I'd been spending time with her for about I don't know, maybe 14 months into it. We were like brother and sister. We would go to things together, and she'd be like, yeah, he's my cousin, whatever. And so she was like, you know, I want to tell you something, but and I can't remember her exact words, but it was just basically, I don't know if you're going to judge me, or if but I really want to say something, and I said, you know, look, I promise I'm not going to say anything. It's just between you and me. Is whatever fantasies or whatever thoughts you have the right to have those thoughts and fantasies. And she says to me, I want to see 2 guys get in a fight over me. I want to go to a venue, and I want to see 2 guys like really beat up each other over me. And I was just like, motherfucker. But I didn't say that to her. I was just like, you know, yeah, I'm just going to make up a name. You know, Cindy, you have the right to, you know, that's cool. I mean, that would be kind of exciting, wouldn't it, to have that happen? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, it's, you know, and I'm sitting there thinking, God damn it. These girls are actually calculating how to get guys to fucking beat each other up, end up hurting each other physically, possibly going to jail, someone getting physically mangled. They're going to cry about it, but in reality, they're actually like savoring the moment. Even though they're sitting there crying and being like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening, they're actually savoring the moment, because it's like drama. Because I don't even understand that. So basically I can tell you guys what is going on, but I can't tell you why. And I've seen, because of these sort of things, and I've had other girls say this similar things to me, and then I can see it going on. I can see these girls, basically how I figure it is, men have fuel in their bloodstream, and it's testosterone, and women have the ability to light that fuel. And yeah, so I always advise you guys, do not get into fights over girls. They may act like they're crying, or they may be like, oh, they want you to get into a fight. They want to see you go to jail. They want that drama. Because basically there's no consequences for them at all. They get to just sit there and observe the whole thing, whereas you go to jail, you maybe go to the hospital, and maybe you end up hurting somebody and have to live with that for the rest of your life, but there's no consequences for them at all. They just get to use their mouth and light that fire. So I guess I encourage you guys to, you know.
Well, obviously, there's no one listening to this going, yeah, man, let's go kick some ass or some bitches.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's fucked up. That's fucked up. See, that's something that just never would have occurred to me until I heard it from you. Never would have occurred to me. The chicks are like, man, that'd be hot if these two guys kick their shit out of each other. But it explains why so many chicks are in these fucked up relationships. You know, and all these guys. You know, I met quite a few girls who I know, like, you know, they got black eyes and shit, and they've been beat up, and they're still with these guys. And maybe some of them actually like that drama. Oh my God, I bet he really loves me. All this kind of shit. But all of us standing around are like, just leave him. Are you crazy? Like, what's the matter with you? What the fuck? What are you doing?
One really cool thing is, though, that I learned that I really was baffled with was that, you know, as guys generally we don't want to generally, or at least me personally, I don't want to compete with other guys for a girl. I don't want to know a girl is fucking, you know, several other guys. It's the total reverse when it comes to females. They want that womanizer. They want the guy who's got girls all over him. They want the guy who they know is fucking several other girls at the same time. I'll call another girl. This other girl, I'll call her Carrie. And I said, you know, we had left a venue. She was just trying to pursue this guy, and he was with two chicks. And I was just like, you know, Carrie, why are you pursuing him? You're so attractive. You can get any guy. Why this guy? I don't understand. And she paused to give me a real answer because, you know, it was like a brother-sister relationship. And she said to me, I want to be chosen. I want to be the chosen one. So even though there's plenty of other guys around, she's competing with these girls because this guy has other girls. It's some sort of, you know, maybe it's that cat string theory or whatever. But so if you guys think, you know, I have to be like really modest and I have to act like, I'm not dating other girls, or I have to be a really nice guy. No, they want the guy who can be a little bit more cocky, can push away because he's got a busy schedule, but also, you know, you be nice to them, but just realize if you act like you have no other options out there with females, that's actually going to cause them to have disinterest. Whereas guys, if a hot, attractive chick was like, I don't really have any other options right now, I'm all by myself, we'd kind of fucking jump all over that shit.
Awesome, yeah, I'm going to bang the shit out of you. What, you haven't had sex in how long? Oh my God, time to fix you.
Whereas girls would be like, oh, you haven't had sex in how long? I'm going to walk away from that.
Yeah.
So I think that's a nice one. I figured I'd counter the evil one with a nice one.
Yeah, that's very sweet.
So
very interesting, though. Yeah. The one thing that always sticks out in my mind was the time you told me, fuck, this is really fucked up, but let's have this be the last thing, and then we'll chat about some other stuff. But you told me you would be, you know, chilling with a couple of your, quote, girlfriends, or, you know, non-sexual girlfriends, back when you were not so good with the ladies, and you were hanging out, and, you know, their phone would ring, right? And you would hear the absolute fucking lies coming out of their mouths. And it turns out, you know, they'd be just lying. They'd be talking to their boyfriends, saying that they're, you know. And one time you told me a story about you just hooked up with a girl, and just, you know, had sex with her, and her phone rings, and he chats to her boyfriend like, you know, oh yeah, I'm just with the girls having fun. And I was like, oh shit. So give us, that stuff's fucking juicy as fuck. Just how manipulative women can be. Yeah,
that's a massive topic.
But let's just give them a little piece.
Just a little piece. So I would, you know, basically I would spend time in female locker room scenarios where there's all these girls hanging out, and you know, girls would come in and out, and they would just kind of, you know, maybe a new girl would show up, and they'd be like, should I not talk about that? And they would look over at, they'd point to me, and the other girls would be like, oh, that's just, you know, should I say my real name? I don't know.
That's just detail.
It's just detail. Okay, well, that's just detail. Ignore him. He doesn't count. So these girls would just open up and just say whatever. You know, so girls would come over, and their phone would ring, and it would be their boyfriend, or they'd call their boyfriend to tell their boyfriend what the girls were going to do tonight. And they'd tell their boyfriend, oh, we're probably going to go over here. And then as soon as they hang up with the phone, they would then say to their friends, oh, come on, let's go out and fuck whoever, or let's go find some other dudes to fuck. And I would just be like, what the fuck? And the thing is, they're master communicators. They're awesome at lying. Because the thing is, even if that guy, later on says, hey, someone saw you over, XYZ place and not over at the other place. And they'll say, well, yeah, we were headed over there, but then so-and-so, Cindy, decided we'd go over here. So that's why we ended up over there. But then if the guy never asks, she never gets caught and whatever, then she never even has to say that. But she can easily just say, oh, yeah, we were going over there, but then we ended up over here. And she can easily dispel any kind of, oh, well, somebody who said you were talking to so-and-so. Well, you know me. I talk to everybody. I'm a social person. So the guy is just, they get fooled as far as the lying and so forth. Yeah. Okay, so because I knew that women would do this so much, and because I was hooking up with so many women who had boyfriends, maybe kind of in the beginning, girls actually had to put their finger up to their lips and say, shh, it's my boyfriend on the phone. I got to answer this. But then as time went on, because these girls started to learn how calibrated I was and how well I understood that they had a boyfriend and how they knew I would be quiet. Basically, as time went on, when their phones would ring, they didn't have to do the shh to me because they knew that I knew that it was probably their boyfriend. I would just be quiet. It was kind of weird. Like as my evolution took place, I was like that guy who knew, and they knew that I was that rare guy that knew that it was their boyfriend. And I would be quiet. And so it was almost like a common, normal thing. Like we'd be in the car, phone would ring, we would stop our conversation because and maybe she was reading my nonverbal body language, or whatever. She knew she didn't have to tell me to be quiet. She'd just pick it up and start talking to her boyfriend, and that just happened countless times. And then, of course, after I was done with that, generally now I don't like girls with boyfriends, but when I was experimenting and so forth, yeah, that was just, it was just frequent. It was common. It was. It's kind of I don't blame them for that because they are individuals. They do like sex. Maybe it draws from their drama and so forth. But yeah, I mean they are cheating, and yeah. don't take offense to it, I guess, because that's why you have to keep your options open. That's why you have to have your skill level up. Get to the point where they're competing for you, and you're not competing for them. Yeah. So
in your professional opinion, women are cheating more often than men.
The reason why is because they have the communication skills to do it. They can lie.
So we're idiots, and we're going to fuck it up.
Yeah. We don't have the ability. Yeah, we don't have the skill level to do it. We'll get caught in our lies. So, yeah, that's why I encourage guys to be talking to everyone, have random conversations with old people, old men, old women, kids, everyone, all the time. Listen to. I know how women will have those conversations with each other, and they're almost painful because it sounds like they're talking about nothing. There actually is a point to those painful conversations where it sounds like they're talking about nothing. There's actually are getting somewhere with those. So
you want to recently you stayed in all right. So for those that don't know, me and Detail, basically I got an RV and we did a fucking huge ass trip during my world tour, which I guess I'm still on. Because I'm just about to kick off again. But, yeah, so we went all across the U.S. We were, like, in Chicago, Boston, New York. We drove down to Florida, Tallahassee, Miami. We were all over Texas, California, Vegas. I mean, it was just mental. We took this thing all over the place. And it was awesome. It was really fun driving around, doing boot camps and doing talks and all this kind of shit. Really, really fun. Just some great moments. We just fucking don't even have time to go into all this stuff. But it was really awesome. But after I left to here, I left basically to continue my world trip, and he actually, got a little bit more active, and he had a great story about. We had a few great stories, but do you want to share maybe one of your stories where your understanding of, basically female psychology got you the result, it got you the lay, where had you not understood what was really happening, you would have been destroyed. Like maybe
the Mormon model?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so we went on that great trip, traveled the U.S. I did, because I was learning so much of the business, I got really rusty. One of the things I do encourage the guys, I heard this story a long time ago, that jet fighter pilots that land on aircraft carriers, they have to practice twice a day to keep their edge. So that's why I always encourage guys, keep your edge, keep talking to people. It doesn't necessarily have to be females, but you got to keep your edge. Do approaches, keep escalating, get those no's and so forth. But But what happened for me was about for 4 or 5 months, I was so focused on learning this business. I mean, sure, Sasha knows it all. So he was, during the trip, he was closing, he closed, I don't know, 4 or 5 or so forth, even though this guy works like 12, 15-hour days. It blows me away. It's amazing. Anyways, so at the end of our trip, I got my rust off. So yeah, a couple of really hot ones did slip through my fingers, but it was all right. You know, I was like, all right, I'll recalibrate. I'll remember what I did wrong. And then there's this. I mean, this is a long ass story. I mean, okay, basically, I used my. Do you want me to get into my reading nonverbal body language and what I actually look for?
There's no time for that.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay.
Thing.
So basically, the key aspects of this one. Or I knew not to be too aggressive. It was a 2-set. I was reading the girls. What was, you wanted me to use some actual... Okay, I was reading the girls. I knew that the guy that I was trying to have wing me was failing, so I knew I had to pull both of them away from him. I tried to give him I was trying to give him a chance though. But I also needed a full close because I needed some stories. It had been a while, so I was like, I need to fuck. I'm not gonna let this one slip by because I let the other ones did. Okay, so basically, the one that was kind of the obstacle. She said to me at one point during our 3-hour kind of journey. It took me 3 hours to full close this chick, Mormon model athlete in college. At some private school in Utah or whatever, and just great legs. Oh my gosh, her legs were just awesome. You know, thin, tan, brunette, maybe hazel eyes, just fit body though. Oh, I remember kissing her arms and so forth. Oh, it felt so good. They're just like tiny little things and just yeah. Anyways, okay, so but her friend says to me, "Hey, you're not going to try and fuck my friend, are you?" I was like, "No, we're just having fun." But if I would have, I think that for that sort of thing, I don't know if that even plays in female psychology, but you know, I didn't back down from that. I just knew that I had to agree with her to make her feel more comfortable. Pulling out exactly all the little things, I'd have to actually, I mean, okay, so I did that. I wore her, okay, so I knew to wear the obstacle down. I need to wear the obstacle down. So I wore the obstacle down. We had her doing all kinds of sorts of things until the point at which she passed out. But then of course I would occasionally, you know, do things when the obstacle wasn't looking. I was doing things to the Mormon chick, the model chick, to make sure she was definitely down, that I wasn't wasting my time. I was doing some physical escalation things that the other girl couldn't see. And so we were almost like girl-guy coding, secretly girl-guy coding, and not letting the friend know. And so I use that sort of stuff, like what females do is they'll girl code, you know, with each other. They'll communicate with their eyes, or they'll touch each other and so forth. So I was touching her in certain places just to verify, is it still on? You know, are we, you know. But yeah, I fucked her in the RV.
Now, is this the one where the friend was also in the RV?
Yes, the friend passed out in the RV. Yeah,
nice.
The friend passed out in the RV. She was sleeping up above, and yeah, we took. I mean, I got the obstacle so excited though at one point in the night, because you know she's Mormon, she's conservative. But towards the end of the night, she was like, "Let's go skinny dipping," blah blah blah. So she was having more fun, but of course there wasn't a place for us to skinny dip. So I was like, "Oh, let me take you to a place where there's this great view of Vegas." And of course, I then got lost, and which was a good thing, and that helped make the other girl pass out. Now I realize, you know, maybe I'll get lost on purpose in the future or whatever. But still, she passed out. The other girl though was still awake, and then we. You know, I did the 10 levels of sensual touch on her and had the music going, and it was good times.
So you, because I was going to be like, how the fuck did you get the other girl in the car? But I guess if she's like, hey, we're going to go have fun. All girls want to go have fun. So,
yeah. But I knew that she would pass out eventually because I wasn't giving her as much attention.
Oh, because they're both tired.
Yeah,
the other one's horny and you're escalating.
Yeah,
so she wants to get laid.
Yeah, she wants to get laid. She just doesn't want her friend to know about it.
Right.
So yeah.
That's awesome. When you called me on what it was Google Voice and you were telling me that you hooked up this girl and there was another girl in the car, I was like, what? What do you mean you banged my girl and there's another girl in the car? That's an almost threesome. Was the other one cute or no?
Oh yeah, the other one was cute, but she was really conservative.
Right. Okay.
So
as opposed to your Mormon one who was non-conservative.
No. Yeah, like once I found out her one of her favorite music groups was like Five Finger Death Punch. I was like, all right. What the fuck is that? Well, there's some things that indicate. And then when I found out what she was going to have to drink, that also told me she was down. Basically, I found out she didn't really know how to drink. And so that told me she wasn't a bar hag, which I don't like bar hags. I don't like girls that are regular partiers. I found out, that she didn't even know, what she was like. Oh, I'll probably have a vodka and something. And that's the kind of girl that I go for. I like the girls that don't drink that much. So there's a lower probability that they've had sex with a lot of guys. There's some other ones as well, but there were some key things there like that. That'll tell me that she's a little more like that music group. Even though I didn't know what it was, but just the title of their name, I knew that she would go against maybe how her parents were telling her or whatever. Be a virgin or whatever. So she probably wasn't. I knew there were certain indicators, plus the drinking thing, and there's some other ones. I'd have to read through the whole field report to remember exactly all of them. But each time I found out one of those, a little bell went off, and I was like, okay, oh shit, this is really on. But yeah.
That's fucking awesome. And it was a really crazy week that week, because it was right around that time you also hooked up with the fucking, a hot stripper, and there was a whole story there, and fucking pictures and all this shit. But again, that's
video of that one.
There's a video, yeah, but let's not go into all of that. It'll take forever. But fucking right, awesome shit. So that being that, you're just full of too much wisdom, and it'll just literally just keep going forever. But dude, on a simple level, how the fuck are you liking being in London for the first time ever? Or even wait a minute, is this your first time out of the U.S.?
No, I've been to Italy and then Bahamas and Canada.
Well, first time in England?
Yes, absolutely.
What do you reckon? What you reckon, boy?
Well, I love spending time with you, of course. We haven't really had a chance to go out, and it was a boot camp. I've been focused on the students. We were at the gym earlier today, and I was like, I kind of feel like I'm in America. I don't really see a difference.
Way skinnier people here, though. Let's be
honest. Yes. Oh my gosh. I guess I'm so used to, heavier people that maybe I don't notice it. But when Sasha was in the U.S., he was kind of pointing it out to me, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty, that's pretty common, man. We have a lot of big people.
No, but dude, when you're here and you're walking down, Oxford Street or whatever, and you see like one of those chicks with that fucking huge ass, like they're just huge. You point them out, you're like, damn, look at her. That's probably an American chick. In America, you don't even. It's just they're everywhere. They're everywhere. They get people with their own little carts because they're too fat to walk.
Yeah. Well, 2/3 of our population is overweight. That's true. 2/3 of our population is overweight.
It's nuts. But anyway, other than the not as many fat people, what do you think? Hot chicks here?
Yes, lots and lots of hot chicks in London. And I can feel it, because in Vegas it almost feels like the walls are up a little bit, because I think Vegas has done so much marketing where, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. I feel like the girls almost sometimes kind of get off the plane and they are almost in a nightclub scenario right away where they're expecting, that sex thing. Whereas it was here in London, I was getting a lot of just energy, sensing energy from females, which, that hadn't been laid in a while, possibly, or that were very possibly sexually charged and aroused, and they need to get fucked. So I'm very excited to be here. So
no, it's funny. It's funny to hear you say that, because, for example, my buddy James Marshall, when we came from Serbia, we did the Euro tour. We came back from Serbia, and we got to London. We were here for a couple of days walking around, and we were all like, "Holy fuck! There are no hot girls here." We were depressed. We didn't want to approach. It was brutal.
Oh, compared to Serbia.
Oh my god. Well, certainly, but certainly the local girls are compared to they're just, you don't even want to talk to them. But London obviously has girls from all around Europe, and some pretty hot ones. So that's what makes up for it. And they're all shopping on Oxford Street, and they're all anywhere really. That you can fucking find them all over the fucking place, really.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's interesting to hear you say that. You definitely thought there were some hotties around. Yeah,
because I'm also used to, not to stay on the subject too much, but I'm used to a lot of bigger women. So there are a lot of thin women around here.
Who wants to hear the funniest thing ever about Detail? This is fucking absolutely hilarious. You want to tell them, right? You know what I'm going to say. It has to do with you and your history with big women.
Oh, go ahead, and you got to do it.
Okay, this is probably one of the funniest things I've ever heard in my life. So Detail, back in the old days, like a few years ago, when he was helping guys out, and he was actually started winging guys and going out with them and shit, he didn't realize the true definition of winging. So when one of his friends would go and start talking to a hot girl, and they had like a fat friend, he would talk to her, and then he would actually go and fuck the fat friend every time, because he thought that's what winging was. He thought he had to have sex with him, and after like literally months of banging fatties, or maybe even longer, somebody actually came up to him and said, "Dude, you know when you're winging, you could just talk and distract the other girl while the other guy hooks up." And he was like, "Oh."
Yeah, so
I had no idea.
Yeah, basically the first 6 or so years, it was probably maybe 3 years ago, a guy in the community or whatever was like, "Dude, you don't actually have to fuck him." I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Yeah, you can just talk to him." I was like, "Oh shit." But you know, I just wanted to do the best I could as a wing, you know, because I knew if I did the best I could as a wing, it would be reciprocated. The guys.
Did anyone ever fuck a fatty for you? Ever?
Oh shit, I don't know.
That probably means no.
But they took down biggies for me. You know, they were doing whatever with the, you know,
yeah,
they were
going all the way.
I'm sure somebody did. I just don't remember, because there's been so many experiences, so many stories.
The other day, you told me how it is that you deal with hooking up with a fatty. Go on, tell the boys.
Well, I don't look down. I keep my eyes to their eyeballs. I only look at their eyeballs. Yeah. And same with, you know, if they weren't that attractive, and if I was winging, I would just stare at their eyeballs. And you know, even early on when I wasn't very good, you know, years and years ago, I would hook up with, you know, a girl that maybe she had a severe acne problem or whatever, and it was so bad that she had beautiful eyes. So I would stare at her eyes, and you know, some of them had just amazing bodies. It was just, there were certain things that were just like, yeah. So I would keep my eyes to their eyeballs. Otherwise, I'd probably go limp. So yeah,
that's awkward. I'm the opposite. I to this day have not had sex with a fatty. I just don't think I could. All right, that's awesome. All right, so last couple things. This is just really interesting. I didn't really know this situation was actually going to happen, but basically, Paul on our team, he's going to probably be on the next podcast. He's basically like, dude, there's some chicks emailed in. She wants to do a boot camp. Female wants to do a boot camp. And I was like, whatever, bullshit. You know, a lot of these people talk shit and they waste our time. So I'm just like, yeah, sure. Have her send the fucking money, all right? Send her a deposit and we'll see. Next day, he's like, yeah, she sent the money. I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, she sent the money. She wants to do a boot camp. And I was like, oh, shit. How the fuck are we going to have a chick on a boot camp with all of us, you know, chasing girls? So I thought about it. I'm like, well, let's just do a separate boot camp for her, maybe a one-on-one, but let's just see if there's other girls who want to learn about it. And, you know, I've got some pretty good advice, but you yourself, you've helped girls a lot,
yeah,
with their skills with the dudes. So it looks like we're gonna have for the you know for Sasha Daygame, for the company, we're gonna have our very first boot camp for women. Yeah. So yeah, and it's gonna be awesome, and I'm really excited about it. We're gonna we'll do it together. But yeah, any thoughts on this? This should be really interesting.
Well, at first I was like, oh, I don't, you know, I've been so, you know, guys against girls sort of thing. But yes, I have helped a lot of women. Because I spend a lot of time with these girls, so, and like, you know, Cindy or whoever, she'd ask, you know, what should I do about this scenario? What did he mean by this? You know, understanding what their wants and needs are and their psychology and so forth. But my first thoughts were, I don't want to give this power away. You know, maybe I was doing that back then to kind of just, you know, because I gave to them, then they give to me. And then, if, you know, yeah, but, I mean, why not? I mean, Sasha thinks it'll be fun. Maybe I still am a little bit inhibited about doing it. But yes, I have some really powerful stuff for these girls that do take this boot camp. There's some really, yeah, they're gonna walk away with some massive tools in their belt.
What we're worried about is, what does this chick look like? Like, what if she's this huge, you know, massively obese girl, or something? You know, like, this is what we're worried about. We'll find out pretty soon. Yeah. I'm gonna get her sent a picture. But
I'm not worried about that one. But yeah, because there's things she can do too. So, because think about all the dudes that aren't closing, and you can be a big girl and get laid, because guys need.
That's true.
Think of all the guys that just settle and never even learn anything.
We've talked about this before. How so many guys settle for these big girls. You know. Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I guess we'll see. But yeah, I think that's pretty interesting. But this whole next few weeks is fucking packed, because I'm literally, you know, obviously I built myself up in London, and you know, I know a lot of people here, and yes, I'm just here literally till the end of August. So I'm trying to cram in everything. So I guess let's fucking let everyone know what's going on. I'm doing a comedy show. If anybody's in the UK, come down on August 7th. You can just check my, I made this comedy character, which is basically a dating coach who, tells guys, not to be little bitches and how to get pussy, but it's not only hilarious, I actually teach fundamental, good concepts about being a man and being direct and, game stuff. So that's on August 7th at 8:30 p.m. So you can just check the website. I am chuckmanslag.com. That's right, the character's name is Chuck Manslag, and somebody stole my domain before, so now the new domain is I am chuckmanslag.com. So that'll be really fun, because a lot of people have been like, we want to come to your comedy, so there you go. This is fucking exciting. Huge weekend on the 11th and 12th of August. Basically, most of my fucking courses are full, so we're making like a mega boot camp with shit tons of we're just gonna cram everybody in. It's gonna be fucking awesome. It's gonna be longer. I'm gonna be teaching, and Paul, Marcus, who everybody knows, and Super A Guy's gonna come down and help out. He's a baller. So it's just gonna be just super tight, and I think it's on the 10th, 11th. Yeah. Oh yeah, and John Keegan's gonna be here too from the States. I'll be interviewing him. He's awesome. So it's just gonna be this huge fucking event. So if anybody's in the country and they wanted to do some training and you haven't got a chance or whatever, this is pretty much gonna be your last chance. And then that's it. I won't be back in London for a long time. So don't fuck it up. Anybody who's out there is like, I want to train with Sasha. There's your chance. So and yeah, the other exciting thing really is that we're gonna do a program in Cyprus. We're actually going to do a talk on the 8th of August, and then a course on the 11th, 12th. And this is really interesting. We just we know a bunch of guys out there. Sammy, who's been training with Ryan for a while, was doing really well. Great guy, really solid game, young guy, and just hooked up with a lot of chicks. He's actually from there, so he needed to go back. And we're just like, well, he knew some people, and I had some people on my list from there. So we're like, fuck it, let's do a program out there. So Detail and Sammy are going to head over to Cyprus, where apparently it's like fucking 90, 100 degree, like brutally hot, like amazing weather, tons of beaches, a lot of people having a good time. And so that should be fucking awesome. I mean, you must be excited about that.
Yeah, it'll be good times on the beach, absolutely. It'll be my first time there. I'm always excited about this stuff. I mean, I love seeing the changes in these guys. It's a passion. I wish I could talk about other things like sports or whatever, but I just don't care about sports and so forth. I just love talking about women. So
yep, you love it. Yeah, same with me. I don't crap, fucking all the male shit. I mean, I love to talk about spiritual shit and a bunch of topics and reading and all this, but just the male stuff just doesn't fucking it doesn't amuse me at all. I think it's really boring. Even with the Olympics, like everyone's like, dude, you're in London, have you watched it? And I'm just like, nope, you didn't go. Not really. I was busy doing my own shit. Like, well, I'm gonna watch a bunch of people competing for who's the most fucking, who can jump the highest. Who the fuck cares? I don't give a shit. But I mean, that's at least a little bit. There's sort of an element at least of like, oh, okay, so fair enough. People are trying to be the best and competing and being awesome. So I do understand that because part of it's becoming better. That's what we're doing. So on that level, I get the Olympics, but at the same point. I'm fucking busy with my own life getting better, so I'm gonna watch other people when I'm fucking doing shit all the time. But like shit like basketball, like fucking watching a bunch of dudes run around trying, I'd sooner hang myself than watch that shit. It's fucking brutal.
But it is common, our friends watch it, but just for some reason, we just don't seem to watch it, and but yeah, we still respect all that, the guys that do enjoy it. That's fine.
Hey everybody, one of our students just came in, was doing a residential right now, and we were like, well, let's pause it, and then we're like, fuck it, let's just talk about it on the air. So basically, he met this girl, he was talking to this girl that was pretty fucking hot, this French chick, and he did alright, but he wasn't really connecting with her. He was just sort of having a bit of a chat, and I'm like, she's gonna flake, but she's been texting him and stuff, and now she just texted basically saying, but he's like, well, let's meet up, and they're trying to figure out a time. And she's like, well, I can't predict when I'm free, really. Let you know probably Wednesday or Thursday. How long are you in London for? And then we didn't reply yet, and she sent him a double question mark. She's like, when are you going to be? So you were just contemplating the answer. And this is one of those points where, like, I feel guilty being at all dishonest, but I know that the truth, potentially, depending on the girl, would destroy any possibility of meeting up. So basically, what we settled for was, sure, let me know, that should be fine. We'll be in London until Saturday this time. And obviously this time it implies that there might be a next time. And, it's just one of those things about chicks where if they feel that, it's just, there's no possibility of any future or anything, they feel a little bit slutty. So even though she might be, and it seems like she is interested in having sex, even though she might be interested in just like having a fun thing, if she knows it's for sure like a one-time thing, that she feels like a hoe and she may flex. It's one of those things where, you like women. This is what I've learned from Detail. Like women using a little bit element of the truth, which is like, hey, you know what? You're in London. Hey, you like London, so of course there's possibility you're going to be coming back. It's a great town. So yeah, but I felt bad because saying this time sort of alludes that hey, I've been here before, which the student has not. So we sent the message, and hopefully in a minute or two we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and if she says, oh, so you've been to London before then, and he can just say, oh no, this is actually my first time. I'm just planning on possibly coming back. I just haven't set the date yet. I have to talk to my friends and check out my schedule.
Yeah, and you had a fucking great time here, so if you start pumping this girl and a couple others, you might very well be like, yeah, I'm gonna come. I'm gonna come back. In fact, yeah, why not? I mean, shit, you live in Europe, so it's not a big deal. All right, so cool. So I just thought I'd throw that in there for just a little bit of live infield, real live coaching stuff for you guys. And so that was great. It was great fucking talking to Mr. Detail. And again, I know you guys are going to want more stuff, so those of you who are on my list, if you really have a topic that you really want to know about, drop me an email, or I'll actually link this to a blog post. So go ahead and comment on the blog post. It'll be on my blog, sashapua.com/blog. That's the easiest thing to do. And I will check that. And if you have a topic for Detail, go ahead and write a comment. He's going to be looking at those and let us know what should the next article be about. He's going to be writing articles and videos. What do you think will be the most beneficial for you guys?
Yeah, I have over 800 plus pages of notes right now, and I will be happy to take suggestions for articles.
Yeah, we got a bunch of ideas, but the problem is there's so many ideas and so much shit that it's
almost analysis paralysis.
Yeah, yeah. So only when I say, dude, just do this article, then he's like, all right, yeah, okay, I can do that. So, but yeah, that's how it is. All right, fellas, so fucking awesome. It was a great podcast. I think a lot of people learned some shit. So yeah, that's it. If you're out there, come and join us for some of our events. And we'll try and again keep these regular. So we'll crank one out pretty soon again. And that's it. Much love to everyone out there. Say goodbye, Detail.
See you guys all later.
Patrick, do you want to say anything to the fans?
Bye guys.
Did you have fun on the weekends?
Yes, I do have fun.
Are you going to have sex with lots of girls?
Yes, for sure.
Are you sure, though?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I am.
Go ahead. Tell them. Take 30 seconds. Tell them the crazy fucking thing you did yesterday. Just tell them the one thing you did. If you can't, I'll fucking tell them, and you can just fucking go.
Tell about the restaurant.
So this fucking dude, right? No, this dude. There's a hot chick in a restaurant, and where you can see right through the glass, and I'm like, and he looks at me, and I'm like, dude, if you do this, you're a fucking gangster. No one would do this. He strolls in there. There's a hot girl, early 20s, with her mom, her grandma, and another family friend. And he just comes in and he's like, hey, you know what? This girl's fucking hot. I just have to meet her. And he hung out with them for like 10 minutes. They were joking around with him. They were testing him. One of them was like, hey, you're not involved in any criminal activity, are you? And he was just like, only part-time. And then the mom or whoever was like, see, he's even funny. And they just all hung out with him and shit. And ultimately, he got her number, and they were actually totally cool with her giving out her number. And literally the entire restaurant was like, holy shit, this guy's paying up this chick in front of her family. And he just did it. He just had fun with it. He had a laugh. And just the fact that he had the balls to do that shit, everyone in there was like totally cool with it. Like everyone. It was awesome. He walked out of there, and I was like, bro, you're done. You've graduated. You're done. There's nothing. It's over. That's it. It was fucking baller. It was seriously that's essentially what I want people to get to, that point of just like they don't give a fuck and they go for what they want. So, how did you feel when you came out of there?
Awesome. I wasn't thinking about that much. I was completely empty. I was like, fuck did I? Because I never approached a girl before Saturday direct.
Right.
And 2 days later, I went into this restaurant, approached a girl with her whole family in a really crowded restaurant. So that's just crazy.
That shit crazy. It was, but he'd done loads, but that was like the last one of the day. I was like, just go do it. So it's awesome. So basically, yeah, we took this dude from like, there was a few students, but from just never having done it to just literally crush the fear, get through the day, just absolutely become. Today he's just running around like a fucking monkey. So the only thing now he's got to work on is just that real solid connection, getting girls to open up and really connecting with them on a deep level, and then hooking up the dates instead of just having a bit. But he's getting there. He gets the framework, and he's almost there, and he's got another few days to work on it on the program. All right, so fucking awesome shit, and I love you guys all. Detail, any final thoughts?
Everybody keep having fun.
Keep having fun.
What else is there?
You got that from me. You
Point of life. What's that?
Got that for me. That's my catchphrase.
Oh, is it?
I think so.
I don't know.
Bastard.
Okay.
Don't listen to women. They're full of shit.
Drink plenty of fluids. Okay, if you're ever dealing with someone who's unhappy, they're possibly hungry, thirsty, or tired, or possibly have a skewed vision of the world. So hungry, thirsty, tired, skewed vision of the world. If you're ever dealing with someone who's not, happy.
Patrick, any last words for people? Seriously, all the guys listening who are not getting laid and they're sitting around and they're just like, this all sucks. What can you tell them?
If you're kind of frustrated, how to get in contact with women, just come to London, join Sasha's team, take a boot camp, and everything turns out really well.
I didn't mean whore up my fucking programs. I meant just give them a genuine piece of advice. Like, you've been through some serious training this weekend. Give them one piece of advice.
Well, I tried it by myself too, and I was watching your videos too by myself, and that's right. So I couldn't handle it. I ended up here. So how can I give these guys advice by doing it themselves? I wasn't able to do that by myself too. So
be persistent.
Yeah, just do it. That's
well, no. What he's saying is don't be a fucking. Yeah.
That's the worst thing. If you are approaching girls, then that's okay. You can progress. But the worst thing is if you just don't go and don't approach, you won't ever make any progress.
In other words, don't be a bitch. But actually, yeah, no, this is actually something important. I think I'm going to talk about this next week with Paul on the podcast because it's something we really want to discuss. But I made a YouTube video talking about this as well, and it was kind of dodgy, so I have to redo it. But ultimately, yeah, if you need to make a serious decision in your life to get the shit together, then make that decision and stick to whatever your decision is. Because, farting, if you've been doing this for 2 years and you're not really fucking getting anywhere, guess what? It's not going to change. So get your shit together, do what you got to do, whether it be taking a course, massive life change, hanging out with new people. But you need to do something to actually shake shit up. Doing the same thing over and over again is fucking insanity, and that's what I see that really upsets me. I've met guys on the streets here that I met 2 years ago who were trying to walk around in a game, and I'm like, so how long you been out here? He's like 4 hours. I'm like, yeah. How many girls you come up to? One, kind of. I'm like, you've been here 4 hours and you talked to one girl. And he goes, not really. So you haven't really approached? No. Okay. The fuck are you doing out here? Why are you even here? Just go and do something else. Like, what are you doing? And that just kills me. It makes me want to fucking top myself. But yeah, he's a baller because he fucking went and did it. So there you go. All right, fuckers, that's it. It's all over. We'll see you guys next time. Everyone say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Goodbye.